Basically, the only way that she'd ever make out with you is if you paid for it.
Prostitution in the third degree.
I remember the golden days of humanity. Back when a new film or series on Netflix meant, you know, something good. When people were like, hey, have you seen that new Netflix movie? And I was like, oh my, quality. But all good things come to an end. Everything that rises must fall. Everything that lives must die a slow and painful death. As Netflix released true works of art such as that Death Note adaptation and 13 Reasons Why, they adopted the, what I call, King Midas business model, in which every piece of fecal matter this company touches will be turned into gold. Elsewhere, on the other side of the world, a 15-year-old girl by the name of Beth Reeks decides that you don't have to be a greedy Netflix executive capitalizing on teenage girls' lack of paternal affection and desperation to be loved to make a work of art. So she decides to turn to Wattpad, the planet's greatest resource for intellectual quality literature, to pen humanity's next War and Peace. But in reality, it was the kissing booth. I want to make one thing clear though. We all make fun of Wattpad and the horrible, horrible fanfictions and stories that reside in there, but at the end of the day, it is okay for these stories to exist. It is okay if they are badly written, cringeworthy, and funny, because like every creative work, it has a right to simply exist as is. Especially if it was written by someone with little life experience. For Beth Reeks herself, it should have been nothing more than a peculiar memory of her naive view on life at that age. But for some reason, it didn't stay that way. Because the minute you take a piece of media created by a 15-year-old with a view on relationships so detached from reality, churn that into a movie and spread this to millions of other 15-year-olds who absorb these messages...
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
And to top it off, the Wattpad book has now been turned into a real book, published by an established company and translated to many languages, so that tons of other people across this little blue planet can enjoy this perpetual suffering with us. Yay! I suppose it's time to quit stalling and get down to dissecting this awful, awful movie and its story, or lack thereof. The movie begins with two babies being born at the same day at the same time, and just coincidentally their mothers are best friends. The main character, Elle Evans, or as I'll refer to her throughout, Idiot Virgin, explains how she has been best friends with Lee Flynn, or how I'll refer to him throughout, the man-child nerd, all her life. And to prove how close they are, they developed a list of strict rules they follow, because that's how you maintain a friendship, or any relationship for that matter, with rules, conditioning and controlling the other person. Idiot Virgin has had a crush on her best friend's brother, Noah, or the whiny violent delinquent, all her life as well. And just look what a hot piece of ass he is. Picks fights and solves his problems through violence, which is a habit he has not kicked off even as an adult, does wedgies at the plain age of 17 as if he hasn't properly developed out of the womb, which he hasn't. So if any of you were embarrassed of your middle school crushes, I hope you feel better as you observe this girl's taste in men. So Elle is obviously still crushing on the violent delinquent years later, but their friendship doesn't allow it, because rule number 9 apparently says your best friend's relatives are off limits. At first you'd assume these rules are a mutual agreement between the two of them, that they apply to both of them and they both follow them to be fair. But this rule in particular only applies to Elle. She doesn't have any relatives Lee could possibly have an interest in, unless he has the hots for her dad, or her 10-year-old brother. So this rule was made exclusively to control her. But to be fair, maybe it's for the better that she doesn't get involved with this god among men.
When did you get the boobs?
My disappointment is immeasurable. And my day is ruined.
As you can see, every single character in this movie is either manipulative and psychopathic, or completely irrelevant.
What an ass. I know.
Stop it. Get some help.
Speaking on this topic, yeah, everybody in this movie being thirstier than a goddamn desert dweller. The main character here is also hyper-sexualized. The 50-year-old Netflix executive who made this thing takes every excuse to show off her teenage body as much as humanly possible. The actress is constantly taking off her shirt at multiple points throughout the movie for no apparent reason. The first scene of this movie is her in a damn bikini. And of course the first excuse the Idiot Virgin has to take off her clothes is that conveniently her pants get ripped on the first day of school. And instead of thinking like, a rational person, to find a fairly easy solution to this, she decides instead to put on her skirt from middle school, which now conveniently is super short on her. And of course a perfect excuse to zoom in on her ass during the scene. It turns out, her dad is also an idiot, cause he sees her dressed that way and he's like,
"Oh yes, my daughter wearing a tiny skirt to an educational environment, an invitation to be harassed and probably sent home immediately by the teachers, nothing wrong there, off to school, kiddo."
It's also pretty obvious that man-child nerd here has a thing for her. The look of pure lust he gives her is all you need to know. I have to say though, I'm very impressed with the writer of the scene. It must have been really hard to write all that with one hand, because the other hand, well, he must have been busy. This is exactly the moment where the Wattpad origins of this thing are so obvious. The minute they get to school, everybody starts hollering and whispering like,
"Oh shit, look at that girl, a female! I've never seen one in my life, bro!"
Is this not supposed to be the same girl that's unpopular and pure and a virgin and no one's ever looked at her in school, and now all of a sudden all the boys are horny gorillas, all the girls are... Well, I don't know what they're doing, but they have to pay attention to her too, because this is Wattpad, and our self-insert protagonist has to have her cake and eat it too. Be unpopular and a virgin, but also secretly super hot on the talk of the whole school. And of course some random douche comes up and sexually assaults her. Because once again, this is Wattpad, and we have to have the scene where the whiny delinquent solves problems through violence to win the heart of the innocent virgin. And look at the psychopathic grin on this man's face. He's enjoying this. He enjoys inflicting pain on other people. Anyway, idiot virgin and delinquent are now in detention, and he says this.
Yeah, it's like those guys were trying to get in my little sister's pants.
Yeah, I want you to keep this statement in mind throughout the entire movie. And also this statement.
Wearing a skirt like that is asking for it.
So he's sexist too. Lovely. Great choice there, kid. Moving on, we have to introduce the depressing copy of the Plastics from Mean Girls, because this is a teenage high school movie and you can't really have one without a Regina George knockoff. I would say more, but the movie doesn't really care to give them a, personality or any sort of relevance. And to really give this scene the seal of quality, the creepy nerd here starts going on about how they smell and stuff.
What does she smell like today? Sometimes she smells like apples, but other times it's kind of this like blueberry coconut fusion.
Stop it.
I want to highlight that this movie is supposed to be classified as romantic comedy. So far, I have not uttered a singular laughter, as this movie kind of makes me want to die. It kind of makes me forget what joy feels like. And I don't even have to highlight how absolutely romantic it has been so far. Oh, my favorite top 10 romantic moments ever is when idiot virgin sexual harasser sends her a letter saying, "I'm sorry." Aww. And then he asks for her number.
Aww. I can't believe you actually gave him your number.
It was a really nice apology.
What?
Oh, I swear, this movie delights in insulting its viewers' intelligence.
I think I'm gonna go out with him. Unless you think I shouldn't.
No, actually, I think you should.
I swear to God, I really do. This girl with a 2000 IQ goes on her date with her sexual harasser, and her friend, her quote-unquote friend, even tells her,
"Oh yeah, your sexual harasser? Absolutely, great choice."
I don't think I have any words left. This is no longer cringeworthy. This is no longer even funny. It's dangerous. It's destructive. To any person who watches this pitiful excuse of a movie, it will melt their brain cells. One by one. Let me emphasize that we are barely 15 minutes in. So anyway, idiot virgin ends up getting stood up. And let's be brutally honest here, this is the best outcome she could have gotten. If this guy was willing to do this in front of the whole school, I don't know what he's capable of doing to her when they're alone. Well, it turns out that he stood her up because he was essentially threatened. Apparently the violent delinquent there told every guy in school to not get near her. How romantic, adorable, God, if only a boy would do that for me. Control who I'm allowed to date and assert that control with threats of violence. What an adorable choice you made, idiot virgin.
The days of you controlling my life are over.
We'll see about that.
Why are you mad, dumbass? You're the one letting him control you and doing nothing but huffing and puffing to make him stop with the power of your mind. And this is no longer a movie, but a showcase, more like a competition, mind you, of who can be more of a sociopath. It's the classic test of if you put horror music over some of these scenes, they look very bad.
I'll see you at the party, okay?
No, you won't, because I told you not to come to the party.
Better get used to disappointment.
See, I knew that you could hear me.
So there is now a party at Noah Lee's house, I think? So of course, because once again this is Wattpad, they don't have a house, but a billionaire mansion in the middle of California. I wanted to point this out because pretty much all the problems anyone has in this trilogy of movies, yes, trilogy, are frankly not even first world problems, but royalty problems. How many times do I have to say it? Right, Wattpad. So our protagonist has to get blackout drunk at her first sip of alcohol and also take off her clothes because of course she does. Nobody stops her, by the way. Nobody sees this obviously vulnerable girl who needs help and gets her out of that situation. Not even her quote-unquote friend. He just stands there and stares at her like all these gorillas do, because let's be honest, deep down he's down bad for her too. It's almost hard to believe that out of all the men in this movie, Noah is the most decent one. Yes, really. He's the only one who does something to get her out of there and overall behaves the most like a decent human being through some parts of the movie. So yeah, holy shit, Kissing Booth. The bar was so low it was practically a tripping hazard in hell. Yet here you are, limbo dancing with the devil. So Elle wakes up in Noah's room with no pants again because it's really hard to write this whole movie with one hand. Give the writers a break, man. See, this is exactly why it's so weird that a professional film studio chose to pick up the story with apparently zero changes to it, because this is the type of writing that can only have been created by someone who hasn't lived a whole lot. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, I fell down and right on top of my crush. Oh, and we're rolling around. Oh, and he's on top of me. Oh my, what an accident. This is by no means contrived writing to force an intimate moment between us because a teenage girl who created this doesn't really know how to write a suggestive scene. At this point, take a shot for every time this actress takes her shirt off. Of course, idiot virgin here oh so conveniently wanders off to the men's bathroom, but as we established before, no male specimen in this entire movie is rational and is only motivated by monkey hormones. Except, of course, for the violent delinquent, who is made to look like the only one with a fraction of a brain by trying to get her out of there. But she decides to make this the moment she chooses to be a strong, independent woman and starts to dance in the middle of the bathroom just to spite him. And all these gorillas clap for her and are almost throwing money because it's essentially a G-rated strip show. We're not even halfway through the movie! So we get another reminder of how these clowns are not just first world but billionaire world, because this is what the school festival looks like. This reminds me so much of the school from Zoe 101. It's so funny that as kids we truly believed that a school that offered students beach days, sushi, hotel quality dorms, and basically no classes ever was in fact a real school that could totally exist. These kinds of media, like High School Musical as well, that are set in either high school or university are almost always geared towards audiences that haven't yet reached that age, as if to sell them a false and complete fantasy expectation of what their high school lives will be like. I never really understood it, and I can't come up with a reason why it's marketed that way. Feel free to comment about this phenomenon below if you want to. First of all, I don't think kissing booths have been relevant since, ever, really. Who would ever unironically go to one of these? Imagine paying someone to kiss you. In other words, prostitution. How romantic. Sincerely, I think these sorts of activities need to be made illegal after the pandemic. So it turns out basically the entire school has been peer pressuring idiot virgin to get Noah Flynn on the kissing booth, but he refuses because I guess he only has self-respect at certain times of the moon cycle, like a werewolf. So her solution is to get Flynn at the kissing booth. But it's Lee Flynn. Aha! So of course everybody leaves and she's standing there all shocked as if she didn't promise people something and delivered something else entirely. But to be fair, this clown deserves some good old humiliation for what a great friend he's been so far. Unfortunately though, one girl takes pity on him and decides to go up and kiss him, eventually starting a relationship with him, unaware that she has just made the biggest mistake of her life. And here we have the ultimate Wattpad moment to rival all others. Of course the delinquent goes up to kiss her, and of course sparks start flying from the kissing booth sign, and the world stops moving, and probably all the stars and chakras align so that these morons think they've fallen in love, but in reality they've just fallen in lust. But she remembers that she needs to go report to her owner about their stupid rules, and when she tells him she kissed his brother...
I even wound up kissing your brother.
What?
This is only proof of the darkness hiding inside this man. So after reassuring the psychopath here that she won't do it again, she immediately runs off to go make out with his brother again.
Wait, no. I cannot just be another one of your conquests.
Honey, sweetheart, sugar, you already are. Why wouldn't you be? You've known this douche your whole life, you know he's a fuckboy, so what, you think he's gonna change for you? And then it turns out this is his hookup spot, and idiot virgin gets offended. Are you that naive after all? Oh yeah, of course she is. Because once she gets home, in order to make up her mind about dating him or not, she does it with a pros and cons list. Note that there are more cons than pros to begin with, and the only pros are good kisser and smells yummy. That's all she needs in a relationship, apparently. That's all that matters to her. It's so strange to me how the writers try to make the main character have her cake and eat it too. Be a constant contradiction so that she can be morally correct but still get her forbidden kicks. Be a shy, unkissed virgin but at the same time the hottest girl in school who all the guys secretly desire. Be super innocent and infantilized but at the same time show off her developing body and engage in sensual actions constantly. This is a Mary Sue, because she has no flaws. There are no trade-offs or real consequences to any of her actions. Shot counter for taking off her clothes, again. Do these kinds of things happen? Are there school parties like this for the ultra-rich white people of California? I genuinely want to know because it's getting harder to tell apart what is Wattpad fantasy and what is just plain rich people fantasy. So of course we get another uncomfortable sexual harassment scene.
You know what you need? Hot tub. Come on.
Oh, no, that's okay, Warren.
Come on, Evans, it'll be nice.
No?
Look, I'm not saying these things don't happen, obviously, I'm a woman, I know they happen. But there's something so artificial about these harassments being done out in the open, like that. Usually harassers make sure they have women alone before they try anything, which just proves my point that this was written by someone who hasn't lived that long. So of course delinquent here takes this as another opportunity to be violent, because it's very clear it's the only way he knows how to solve his problems. And here comes the horror music test.
Just get in the car, Al. Get in the car, Al!
This is disturbing. This isn't just a fuckboy anymore. This is an abuser. Right here, this man is showing signs that he is prone to physical abuse. No, I'm not kidding. Hitting things is one of the first signs an abuser gives that they're not afraid to hit you right after. And Elle does what he tells her to, cause she was probably afraid of him. How romantic. And of course, instead of taking her home, he decides to impromptu kidnap her to a classic cityscape lookout spot, so that she gets emotionally vulnerable enough to have sex with him. In public, on the grass, with probably 100 mosquitoes to keep them company. Disgusting! So they agree to keep their relationship a secret, so that her owner doesn't get mad at her for disobeying his rules. Because deep down he wants her, and only has these rules as a hope that she'll look in his direction someday. Oh, and they're ultra sneaky by having sex in the same house he's in.
Hey!
I thought I heard moaning.
I was watching porn.
Oh. Can I watch?
We also find out that apparently Noah has been accepted into an Ivy League school. Not just any school though, Harvard. Yes, Noah Flynn, violent delinquent who has nothing but detention slips filling his report card and spends his days making out and never studying, got accepted into the most prestigious university in the world, apparently without lifting a finger. My only explanation for that is, well, they live in a Playboy mansion. No said. So, idiot virgin, well, technically she's not a virgin anymore. She definitely is one in spirit though. She has to sneak out of the house to avoid being discovered, and the writers who wrote yet another scene with one hand decided to make her jump on a trampoline wearing the same tiny skirt from before, so that we get to see her ass some more. So man-child nerd finds her in the pool and sees that she got a text, so his reaction is to snatch her phone from her and read it. If he does it so casually, it's cause he's used to always having access to her privacy.
Since when do you have a lock on your phone?
So delinquent and virgin continue their ultra-secret, sneaky affair by being openly lovey-dovey in public, where everyone can see them. In fact, they're such master ninjas that they decide to do the dirty in the middle of a classroom, where there's a security camera that caught them. So back at Noah's house, Elle accidentally gets hurt and Noah starts cleaning up her wound.
Why do you get in all those fights anyway?
I guess it's kind of just how I'm wired. But, you know, we're all fucked up one way or another, right?
No, Mr. Violence. Not all of us are clinically insane enough to punch every person who ever made us mad. But then Whiny Nerd comes in and sees that he's tending to her wound, and he goes,
Did you do that to her?
See, if I was her, given that I'd ignored, all the red flags this whole time, this reaction would have worried me immediately. Like, holy shit, even his brother thinks he's capable of doing that. Maybe he's even got reason to believe he is. Get the car out! But anyway, Lee finally catches them. And this is where we see him reach his breaking point, finally turning him into the Joker.
So you really just have been fucking my brother and lying to me?
No.
She has no clue what she's gotten herself into with you! This is bullshit!
He puts on this sad monologue about how his brother always had everything and she's the only thing he couldn't have, as if she's, an object he possesses instead of a human being, and drives off into the distance to spread his toxicity elsewhere. And you know what? I don't feel bad for anyone here. This trio of people mutually feed into their psychopathic tendencies, and they're all psychopaths. Sorry. Manchild is manipulative and controlling and can't deal with the fact that Idiot Virgin won't have sex with him. Idiot Virgin is an idiot and a virgin who has precisely negative numbers of common sense. Violent abuser. I don't care for these three fucking clowns. They ruin each other's lives in a vicious cycle, and they all deserve each other. So Idiot Virgin gets depression over losing both of her a pep talk. She doesn't really say anything important aside from,
Girl, you should totally go back to being friends with my manipulative son. It's probably the only way you're gonna peak in life.
So Lee keeps ignoring her at school, and it turns out Noah disappears for, weeks, I assume. And his attendance is so low that he's in danger of not graduating, which is exactly why Harvard is begging at his feet for him to come bless them with his presence. But since we've established that these two are really 6-year-olds masquerading as 16-year-olds, they don't have things like maturity or conversation ability. So the only way they know how to solve their problems is through their little Dance Dance Revolution game. And then it's all good. Just like that. The one issue that apparently broke this man enough to turn him into the Joker resolved with one dance game. So anyway, it's time for prom, because remember, it's a teen movie, and those can't really exist without a prom. So of course the prom is what you'd expect from rich white people in California, right down to, oh come on! God, they're trying so hard. So hard to make the stupid kissing booth relevant. As if all the events in the story happened because of it, oh please. With how horny for the delinquent this idiot is, she would have found any other excuse to kiss him eventually. The kissing booth is not relevant. Stop trying to make it important or significant to all these people when it's not. But of course, right when Elle seems to be beginning to kind of heal a little and feel better about herself, Mr. Violence comes back to ensure this time her self-esteem is destroyed for good. And just when she's about to get away from him...
Because I love you.
No, you don't. I don't believe that for a second. She manages to escape, for now, and skip to these clowns' birthday party, because they were born on the same day and all that jazz. And wow, would you look at that! The entire school and probably the entire city of Los Angeles came to their party. Weren't they the stupid, unpopular kids who only had each other as friends who were wallflowers? But they're also super popular deep down, and the whole school is friends with them when it's convenient. Anyway, Elle finally has a breakthrough, and for once decides to be a strong, independent woman in the right context.
But being my best friend doesn't give you the right to tell me who I can love.
It's just unfortunate that she's exercising her independence from this douche to become codependent with this douche. And of course all the planets and chakras align so that these two can get back in their toxic relationship. Yay! Also, it turns out that Noah left. Like, immediately after. So tell me, Idiot Virgin, was all this worth it? Was it worth it to destroy your friendship, go against your dad's wishes, to be with an abusive fuckboy for 1 week? I hope it was worth it to you. So the end of the movie makes it ambiguous whether these two would work out or not over long distance. And let me just say, this trope is getting really annoying. People break up over any long distance situation because they think it's somehow better to end their relationship than to just call their partner on a regular basis. I'm in a long distance one myself, and I get it, it's not for everyone. But, Idiot Virgin, to assume your relationship is doomed just because you can't touch each other for a while, go ahead and admit your relationship is based on hormones and sex, and not actual commitment or affection. So yeah, movie ends with this girl reflecting on her life and how more independent she got, or whatever, as if she actually learned anything from this entire mess. As if there was any kind of lesson to take from all this besides, we're all immature, controlling, and toxic clowns, and all this happened just because
of a kissing booth.
No, actually all this happened because you're dumbasses. All of you. This is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Yeah, really, I'm not exaggerating. It's ridiculous, it's insulting to most people with functioning brain cells, and it's yet another piece of trash to add to the pile that Netflix feeds teenage girls, to present them with utter delusions of how most human relationships work and how people in general function. It's not just a bad movie. It's not a so bad it's good movie like The Room or Fateful Findings where you can watch it ironically with friends and some drinks. It's the kind of movie that's so bad that you can barely get through watching it. To make this video, I had to leave the movie on as my computer recorded and go do something else, because I couldn't handle watching this thing in more than 10-minute increments. It's past being cringeworthy. It's past being stupid. It insults its own viewers' basic intelligence. It almost makes you forget how the logic of reality works. I can't believe I'm saying this. This movie managed what no other movie in this channel did. This movie broke me. It did. Truly, it managed to break me before I even watched 1/4 of it. The minute they presented this girl making the decision to go on a date with her sexual harasser because she thinks with her vagina instead of her brain, there is no other explanation. This is the moment when I realized that things had reached a concerning level. That this kind of shit was being shown to millions of young, impressionable girls to make them think it's okay. To make them accept and forgive sexual harassers and later on abusers just because they're either peer pressured or horny. And this shouldn't be allowed. This movie shouldn't be allowed to exist for the damage it caused. Unfortunately, without knowing, Beth Reeks at the age of 15 writing this occurs story opened some kind of Pandora's box that now Netflix refuses to close because it gives them money. And I'm not naive, I know most things in this world exist to make money first and send a real message second. We're all slaves under capitalism and we're all gonna die, blah blah, let's all read the Communist Manifesto together. But there are so many times where movies and media both make money and are of good quality because the creators knew how to reach a balance. And guess what? A lot of times good quality products make a lot of money because they're good quality. But when you market this kind of fecal matter to an audience that isn't yet able to be critical of the kind of media they consume, well, it's easy money. Unfortunately so. This is why kids are some of the easiest money-making vending machines a producer can hope for. But I really don't want to end this video on such a depressing note. I made this with the purpose of entertaining you guys, and in that aspect I hope you've at least enjoyed it. I also at least hope that with these kinds of critical videos, us YouTubers can do a bit of correcting and also prevent the damage that this kind of media has done to young people. I hope that, through my weird sense of humor mixed with my analytic personality, I've managed to shed some light on why this movie is at best a cringy mess you can enjoy and consume critically. On that note, I want to thank you all for watching until the end. Please leave a like or a comment, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and take a look at my Patreon if you'd like to support me. I appreciate all of you so much for being patient with me these past few months. I hope to regain my video making rhythm soon. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!